This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. You know, all year long on This Old House, we focus on the build, the fix, and the renovation. But this time of year, this is when we get to focus on the magic. The holidays aren't just a season, they're a collection of moments, both simple and grand. And at the Home Depot, they understand that our homes are where those moments truly come to life. They're our go-to partner for all things home, especially during the holidays. And right now, Black Friday is happening at the Home Depot. This is our chance to bring that magic home. They have a huge assortment of dazzling pre-lit trees. And you know what we appreciate as doers? Smart design. Many have quick connect technology, so setup is just a few clicks. It means less time prepping and more time making memories. Hurry in for Black Friday, happening now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Hello, I'm here during the lunch rush with Janice, who owns her own food truck.
Best cheesesteaks in town.
Janice traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for her food truck business. We're here where she needs us most.
They sure are.
We make it so easy for her to save, with customised coverage that grows with her business. Sorry, I just get so emotional talking about saving folks money.
Not this onion I'm chopping?
It's just so beautiful. Oh yeah, no, it's the onion.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. Get more with Geico.
Make your home sparkle and your mother-in-law speechless. From LAist and APM, it's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. TikTok's king of cleaning, Brandon Pleshek, shares his tips to make your home shine and your to-do list a whole lot shorter.
One tool that I would say is like a massive game changer, and I recommend pretty much to anyone, is a drill brush scrubber.
He plays messy, complicated characters on screen, but in Vermont, William H. Macy built something simple and true.
I would daydream about my little place in Vermont when times were tough in New York.
It's not about the gear, it's about the grit. Alton Brown shows us how to build a better backyard barbecue using what you already have. All of this, plus we're answering your home improvement questions at 877-864-7460. Coming up next. Thanksgiving just ended, and between the food coma and the mountain of dishes, the last thing you feel like doing is cleaning. Brandon Pleshek, known to millions on TikTok for his viral cleaning hacks, shares quick pro-level tips to make cleanup fast, easy, and oddly satisfying. So, broadly speaking, what are some of the best ways to keep up with maintaining a clean home?
Building a good routine. And I know that like my ADHD brain kind of hears that and like, oh no, a routine, I can't do that. But a lot of times when you're cleaning, if you're able to keep up with it, it just makes the entire job so much easier. So like, let's say, for instance, your bathroom. If you can build a routine of like cleaning your toilet on a weekly basis at minimum, every once or twice a week, wiping down the countertops and your sink maybe once a day after you use it, and just slowly kind of build in those habits. What's nice about that is it doesn't take very long to do those things, and you maintain the clean instead of waiting for something to the point where it's so dirty that you have to just invest a bunch of time for a deep clean. But if you can keep up on it, it's just going to make it so much easier.
And there are so many products out there to clean up nearly everything. Do you have a good rule of thumb for using cleaning products?
Definitely. I try to keep it as simple as possible. Like a good multi-purpose cleaner is going to be able to help you clean, obviously, most of the areas in your home. There's obviously some specialty cleaners out there that are worth their weight in gold. I always say, like, one I love is Barkeeper's Friend. My grandma taught me how to use that. It's a classic. I'm always going to have that in my cleaning kit. The other thing that you want to keep in mind when just looking at cleaning products is the surfaces and the types of material you have in your house. If you have a lot of like delicate surfaces, like marble, let's say, you're going to want a few different cleaning products to kind of take care of those. And yeah, I try to keep my cleaning kit simple because I won't lie, I've been in the trap of going to the store and buying a new product because I'm curious. I want to test it, and it's kind of my job as well. But many times I find myself always going back to the classics. So if you find something you like, usually you can just stick with that.
Okay, what about tools? I'm curious. You mentioned specialty tools.
The one tool that I would say is like a massive game changer, and I recommend pretty much to anyone, is a drill brush scrubber. So there's a few different versions of this you can get. You can get one that just attaches to a drill already, or you can get like a specific tool that is like built in kind of scrubbing. It's a whole unit that's like waterproof and things. I have both, of course, but it depends on your needs, but that really can help speed up your cleaning time. And as someone who does this professionally, when I bought one of those, I'm like, I'm just going to give it a try. It was like a cheat code because all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I'm scrubbing so much faster and more efficient and my shoulder and my back doesn't hurt, whereas it's been all my life. So definitely check one of those out. The other tool that is kind of like a sneaky one that I say everyone should have is a razor blade scraper. No, it sounds super simple, but it works amazing for getting under like grease and grime in your oven, for instance, even soap scum on like your shower. If you do use it though, always use it on a wet or lubricated surface, just like with your cleaner. Make sure to use a new blade and go slow. Let the blade do the work. You really don't have to push real hard.
Are there times when you prefer a DIY solution over a commercial product?
Yeah, definitely. One of my favorite cleaners, and those that watch my videos know I love a vinegar mix that I make. It's 1 cup white vinegar, 1 cup water, and about a teaspoon of dish soap. It's an awesome all-purpose cleaner. Can pretty much use it all over your house. It really works good too on like glass shower doors without like the hard water buildup and things. The only thing I will say is vinegar is acidic, so you want to be careful. So again, kind of talking about wood floors or like your natural stone, like granite countertops or even marble, you wouldn't want to use that on there. But that one is super simple to make. I mean, you can get a big jug of vinegar, water from your house, and then a little bit of dish soap, and you can be cleaning for a long time with that mix.
So what are some of the details that you can clean in your home that really makes it feel immaculate?
Yeah, so I would say kind of to level up your clean using like a 3-towel system. And essentially what that is 1 towel to clean with your cleaning mixed it, whether that's your all-purpose cleaner or if you even mix it into a bucket, a 2nd towel to rinse, and then a 3rd dry clean microfiber cloth to dry and buff the surface. And many times in my experience, that's kind of where people stop. So they'll use the cleaner, they'll rinse, and then they're done. But coming through with that dry, clean microfiber cloth, it not only dries it and removes any, possible streaking, but it allows you to buff the surface, especially if it's like high gloss. And then I would say, just a few other areas in the house. Dusting is something that I think sometimes people don't love to do, but if you can keep up on it, it makes it so much easier just to do a quick swipe with like a duster, opposed to when it's really thick, then you got to go in and like wipe it all up. So to really keep your house tip top, I would say just dust a little bit more because everyone's house gets dusty and it's something you kind of are always fighting against.
As a 3rd-generation janitor, is there something you think most people get wrong when they're cleaning?
I would say a lot of people like to sometimes just spray the cleaner down and wipe it up right away. And something that is super important is to give those cleaners time to work. I call it dwell time, but essentially it just means spray it down, let it sit and do its thing, and then, wipe it or scrub it up. Just by giving that cleaner a little bit of extra time just to break down whatever's on that surface there, it just makes your cleaning process so much easier. For instance, let's say you're cleaning your oven and you spray oven cleaner down. If you immediately go to start scrubbing and wiping that up, it's going to be a real long day and a long job. Whereas if you let it sit for a half hour to an hour, read the label. The label is always the law, I always say. So whatever they say, follow that. But usually that just melts the grease and grime and it's super easy to wipe up and clean up. So that would be one. And then the other one I would say is you don't have to deep clean your house to make it clean. Just a little bit every single day can really go a long way, and that progress will just really start to build up over time. I know for myself, sometimes I get in those modes where I'm like, I got to pull everything apart. And then I try to just tell myself, no, just do a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow. And before you know it, your house will look great.
Ooh, what do people most often forget to clean?
There's a few things I would say around your toilet. That is an area that can get a little grimy. And many times people do a really good job cleaning their toilet. And then what will happen is like, I still have kind of a stinky odor in my bathroom. Cleaning around the toilet is super helpful just because it's a little bit of a splash zone, if you will. That's the best way to say it. And so making sure to just clean that area the best you can.
So we like to end each of the episodes of This Old House Radio Hour with something we call the simple fix. I've watched a lot of your videos. You have a lot of them. Is there one you'd like to share?
I know this is hard for me to like pick just one. Using a pillowcase to clean your fan blades. That's the one actually my grandma taught me. Obviously don't use a pillowcase that you're actively sleeping on.
This is a cleaning pillowcase now.
Exactly. I know everyone's like, what pillowcase are you using? I'm like, I have one in my cleaning supplies. Yes. Like that is the one for this.
It's like the toothbrush in your cleaning supplies. You got to make sure the kids know that is not a real toothbrush.
Exactly. And so yeah, pillowcase, just wrap it around the pillowcase. You can pull back slowly, keeping the pillowcase kind of tight against the fan blade. It's going to pull all the dust in there, and that way you don't get it all over the room. It doesn't make a mess, and then just bring it outside and give it a good shake.
God, it's so brilliant. Well, we thank you so much. This was so informative, and we really enjoyed having you.
Thanks so much for having me. This was awesome. I really appreciate it.
For more cleaning tips and secrets, you can go to brandonpleascheck.com. Before we take your calls, I wanted to quickly say how thankful we are for you, going on this journey with us every week and inviting us into your home with your home improvement and DIY questions. With that in mind, if you've clogged your drain with turkey grease, we're here to help. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
My name is Karen Peterson, and I live north of Boston.
So, Karen, what's going on in your home?
Last year, I bought a new central air conditioner, and that was all done last spring. It worked great last summer. What surprised me a little bit was in the fall where I had my gas boiler serviced, something a little bit separate. A technician from the same company, checked out the gas boiler, but then he suggested that I add dedicated surge protectors to the gas boiler and then both parts of my central air conditioner. I mentioned to him that I already have a whole house surge protector. And at that point, he said, well, that's kind of like outside of his scope, and I should try to find an expert and, learn a little bit more. And I'm just not quite sure how to research it. The two things that concern me a little bit is that, one, none of the sales guys I spoke to mentioned it. Had they mentioned it last spring, I probably would have just said, yep, install it with the unit. So I'm a little surprised that a technician, like 6 months later, kind of mentioned it. And then my other part of my question is, how much redundancy is enough for my house? Like, basically it comes down to, is the whole house surge protector enough, or should I have that plus these dedicated units? And it's not something I can do myself, and it's not something insignificant in cost.
Joining us in the studio is Richard Chathui, plumbing expert for the show. Richard, what do you think?
Let's see if we can help. So there was a day that I would never think about a surge protector when a basic air conditioner was just a compressor that was on and off at full blast, and it was so simple. But all these modern devices continue to have printed circuit boards and incredibly precise calculations. So you're changing speeds and refrigerants and everything else. So then you want to make sure you've got guaranteed clean power. Now, most parts of America, you'd say you wouldn't think twice about it, that we got clean power. But as more and more people get added to electric heating, and we have a grid that's 70 years old, 80 years old, it's in peril. You say, well, man, I might want to just put a little insurance on it. So to your point about the person that sold the job isn't the person that services the equipment. The fact that the guy that services the equipment mentioned this surge protector was that he's seen this before. So I take no exception with the salesman not mentioning it, because you don't want to oversell the job. But if something goes bad in some of these modern AC units, it's not like the old days that was a $500 replacement condenser outside. It's now a $2,000, $3,000 piece. So a surge protector for whatever it is, $200 or $300 seems like short money. The only thing I would also do is make it be that the surge protector you could go around it if you chose to. When you're trying to troubleshoot, you don't want the surge protector to be an additional thing that could cause you problems. So if it's the type of surge protector that can be plugged in and then you plug the unit into it, you could troubleshoot around it, because that's the important thing. When you don't have heat or cooling, you've got to find the answer quickly. So I hope that helped. And it sounds like you had a very good contractor experience. That's good.
Right.
Did you have another question, though? Did you have something else you were going to ask?
There was a part two of my question if we had a little bit of time.
Well, I don't think there's any clock running against me. They pay me by the hour like every contractor.
Is it possible to do it in addition instead of the whole house?
Yeah, I mean, the whole house is to protect the refrigerator and the stove, because everything's got a printed circuit board in it now.
Oh my God, yes.
Specific to the AC units or the heating units, they're making calculations all the time. And if all of a sudden there's a surge in power or brown power, all of a sudden they could just sort of have a little brain cramp, and you don't want that. So I'd say it's short money to put one on, but you got to find someone that can do it, and we'll be fair about it. Hopefully that helps you, my dear.
Okay.
We'll probably see you around the Dunkin' Donuts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That would be fantastic.
All right, my dear. See ya. Bye-bye.
Thanks for calling. Coming up, we answer more of your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. It's This Old House Radio Hour. This Old House Radio Hour is supported by the Home Depot. You know, if your house is anything like mine, there's always that one project that's just waiting on the to-do list. And so often, the only thing standing in the way is not having the right tool for the job. Having that specific cordless tool you need, it just makes all the difference. Well, if you've been waiting to add to your workshop, Black Friday savings are here at the Home Depot, and this is the time to do it. Right now, when you buy a select battery kit from one of the top brands, we're talking Ryobi, Milwaukee, you get a select tool from that same brand for free. It's not just a good deal, it's a smart one. You get the batteries you always need, and you walk away with the saw or driver you've been wanting. It's the perfect way to stock up for all those upcoming projects, or, let's be honest, it's a great gift for the people on your holiday list. Shop Black Friday savings now at the Home Depot. Limit 1 per transaction, exclusions apply. You can see the full list of eligible tools in-store and online. The Home Depot, how doers get more done. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largess. Right now, we're answering your home improvement and DIY questions. Call us at 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, I'm Michelle Flack, Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey.
Ooh, New Jersey, my favorite. That's great, Michelle. I'm just on the other side.
Yeah, you're on the better side.
I didn't say it, you did. So what can we help you with today?
We put in a border of tile inset to the main floor tile, which is white 12 by 12s. The tile we installed is a hideously ugly brown, no gloss porcelain. I need to know how to properly paint it.
What do you think, Mauro?
Zach, what do you think about replacing the tiles?
We will eventually.
I don't think you're going to love what I have to say, but my fear with a paint is it's a solid color.
Yeah.
Whereas floors in general and tiles in general have some variation in color. I think by design, because no matter how good you are at cleaning, there's always particles and things that end up on your floor. So when you see like a commercial tile or a porcelain tile, there's usually some variation in color to sort of mask what's happening, you know, the dirt and debris that we get on our floors. And that's why I think hardwood floor is such a common floor choice. So my fear is, although you'll pick a color you love, the consistency, if you pull this off correctly, will be so, it'll be so consistently one color that imperfections and dirt or little, bits of debris that may come off your shoe when you walk indoors will just jump out at you. And that's sort of my fear with the paint.
Oh, dear. So my option is to rip these ugly suckers up.
Well, I agree with Zach like 100%. Remember, this is going to be like a walkable space. If it was the walls, it's a different story.
Okay.
One thing I like to think when I'm trying to educate people about remodeling is I like to convince people to do either the cheapest possible Band-Aid solution or the most expensive option to do it correctly. And sometimes the options in the middle are suboptimal, because if you think about the cost of retiling the floor, we'll say that's $100. But if you paint the floor first and then you retile the floor in 6 months' time, now it's $120, for example. So you want to think of that total investment versus if you just throw an area rug over the spot, or buy yourself some new shoes, or indulge yourself in another way that would improve the quality of life until it makes sense to do this job properly, because I'm afraid your expectations will be tarnished.
Oh, well, thank you so much for the guidance. I deeply appreciate it. I'm afraid to say I'm going to take your advice and live with this. It's so ugly.
Replace the floor, paint the walls,
Yes.
paint the ceiling a nice color,
Yes.
and you get a new tile floor. You can call Zach. Zach is, right there. He can put a new floor in for you. And you call me, we'll come and paint.
Yeah, you call me and I'll
All
get you a pair of rose-colored glasses and you won't even notice the color of the floor.
Oh, you're wonderful. I thank you so very much. Thank you for this.
Thank you, and good luck with your project.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Call us now to have your home improvement or DIY question answered. 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Brittany Kring calling from Frankfort, Kentucky.
Hey, Brittany. Zach here.
Hi, Brittany. Mauro here.
Hi.
So what's going on in your old house today, Brittany?
Yeah, so our house was built in the 50s. We've lived here for coming up on our 5th year. So we've done a few projects here and there. But the one that's been going on the longest has been our bathroom. So it's actually been in a state of remodel for about 2 years.
2 years?
Oh.
Yeah.
You're not ready for it to be done, are you?
You need to fire that contractor.
Well, it's my husband, so...
Don't fire your husband. Don't take relationship advice from Zach.
The biggest issue we're having, the paint on the ceiling. So we tore all the tile off the walls, redid the shower surround, and I tiled up above it. I painted the bathroom, and then I scraped the ceiling and primed it, and then just never got around to painting. We've noticed that after after preparing the ceiling and priming, it's still flaking in quite a few places.
I want to rewind to the part where you say you tiled. You tiled around and above the shower? That's impressive.
Yeah, I actually watched some This Old House videos, and I figured out how to tile and then grouted it myself. And
Great job.
yeah, I was very proud.
Let me tell you an actual story about my day. I just met with someone before I came here who's a very skilled member on my team who put subway tile in incorrectly, and we're currently ripping it out this moment. So bravo to you that it's lasted 2 years already. Ours lasted not even 24 hours.
It was definitely an all-day project. But I think for a first-timer, it looks pretty good.
Well, Brittany, let me ask a question. Do you have your walls and ceiling, the plaster or the dry wall?
They're plaster.
They're plaster. And the fan works pretty good.
Yes.
So you turn on like 20 minutes before and 30 minutes after each shower?
Definitely after.
That's a lot to ask, Mara.
I
Let's
didn't
be
know we
honest.
were
20
supposed
minutes
to
before.
I was just trying to find out.
You're about to change the whole way I
know.
shower.
My kids never do.
This is news to me, Brittany, that I'm supposed to be putting it on before I'm showering.
At the house, they never turn on the fan. So, do you remember what kind of paint did you use for your bathroom?
So on the ceiling, I've tried both a shellac-based primer and an oil-based primer.
Okay, what about the walls?
I used the oil-based, and then I painted with, I think, some like middle grade paint.
I see a lot of this problem every time I get a call and people say, look, what's going on in my bathroom? I even start to see mildew. I would, to solve this problem, I think you should repaint your bathroom with like a specialty paint for bathrooms. What do you think?
Yeah.
Most of all, manufacturer has a line of paint specific for this kind of area. I think you should move into a different line of paint. Forget about the oil base or the shellac base and go into the water-based, waterborne, what they call now, which is like a couple of manufacturers have a very good paint that hold moisture. And the most important thing, too, is like keep that fan for at least 25, 30 minutes going.
Is the water-based or the waterborne paint as durable as oil-based or shellac-based option?
Yes. Nowadays, yes.
And can you put that on over what she's used so far, the shellac or the or the oil-based?
That's a good question. It's a really good question. The answer is no.
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 Uh-oh.
Again,
Now what?
so you're going to have to start all over again, okay? You might have to lightly sand everything, make sure it's all nice and clean, and then you can use a bonding primer on the surface because you still have the oil-based paint. The water-based paint will not work on top of the oil. Quick thing to do, get like one of those waterborne paint. What's a waterborne paint? Waterborne paint is like an acrylic-based paint reinforced with urethane, which makes this paint so tough, specific for bathrooms and spa areas. This way, once you sealed up the surface with the primer, then you go on top with 2 coats of paint, and you call it a day.
Okay.
So a little sanding, a bonding primer, and then the waterborne paint exactly specific to the bathroom.
Also, as a carpenter, I think a beadboard ceiling really complements subway tile. And Brittany's already waited 2 years. What's another year and a half to get some beadboard up there and really complete the look?
I think she wants to be done.
All right, fair enough. Then listen tomorrow.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Take care, Brittany.
Sounds like you're near the finish line. Thanks so much for calling in.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you, Brittany.
Call us now to have your home improvement or DIY question answered. 877-864-7460. That's 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hello, I'm Sherry Campbell, and I'm calling from Newport, Tennessee.
Hey, Sherry. Zach Detmore here.
Hi.
This is Heath. How you doing?
Happy to meet you, and thanks for taking my call. My question today is, I'm remodeling my grandparents' 100-year-old Tudor-style house. While I'm interested in keeping many of the original features of the house, there's one feature I don't want, and that's the knob and tube wiring. Can you give me any insight and ideas on how to rewire this house since it has plaster walls?
Ooh. Yeah, knob and tube's always fun.
Next question.
Well, I'm using the knob and tube. Obviously, I'm living there, and I still have the old 2-button light switches.
Oh, wow. So it's really all original.
It's all original.
Yeah.
So
yes.
So I'm sort of, whenever I think knob and tube, it's usually like these porcelain glass pieces. But Heath, can you kind of shed light on what exactly makes this system different than what you would put in a new house?
Yeah, so knob and tube, they actually used to run 2 individual conductors, and they'd run them, like you said, through porcelain. So you'd see them drill out the framing members, a couple of porcelain sleeves, usually separated by 12 inches plus or so, or a full bay, depending on how they ran them. And then they'd run those wires through those porcelains and then bring them together wherever they had a switch, a receptacle, or a fixture they had to go to. But as far as replacing the knob and tube as you go, there are different ways to do it. You can obviously try and fish it up the wall. That's one of the cleanest options. You can kind of take your time and do that bit by bit as you need to, room by room.
So what time are you showing up to do the work? Because I live in a very small town, and we don't have very many electricians, and the ones that I've called have declined the job.
Yeah, it's not the easiest of jobs. It's definitely a little time consuming and a little involved, but it's possible. And again, you don't have to do it all at once. You can pick away at it one room at a time and just kind of grow as you need.
Okay, that's fantastic news. I was afraid it was going to be impossible.
Nothing's impossible.
Heath, is there anything she could say on the phone to an electrician to sort of bait them? Like, I just need a light bulb switch. And then when they're there, say, by the way, I need this whole house rewired.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I just have a small issue. Hey, while you're here.
That's a great idea because, as I said, it's very hard for me to find one.
I think if you pitch it as, I want to make the place safe and I'm not too picky about things, to show you're easygoing, someone will understand the situation and that it's a very doable job. I think the cost and the patching will escalate when you're making connections between switches and lights, like Heath said, where you're trying to finish that first floor ceiling system because there's no real access there. So that's where you're going to start smashing and crashing. But if you just want to focus on outlets, it's relatively easy.
Yeah, and the other part to that is, again, you don't have to do it all at once. You know, you can talk to someone as they get a couple of days open here or there, and your budget allows, you can pick away at it. You don't have to jump in and spend an entire month and get the entire house rewired at once.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the information.
More than welcome.
Good luck, Sherry. Thank you so much for calling.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Call us now at 877-864-7460. 877-864-7460. Hello, you're on This Old House Radio Hour.
Hi, this is Tom from West Melbourne, Florida.
Hi, Tom. Mark McCullough here.
Hey, Tom. It's Zach.
Hey, Mark. Good talking to you.
You too, Tom.
Zach?
So what's going on with your house there?
I have a gutter that was installed. We've had, 3 roofs replaced, and water had seeped into the CBS block. It's stucco on CBS block construction. And the water, leaked inside the house, got into the wood floor, destroyed the drywall. Cracks have formed on the, sort of that window part. Long story short, what I want to do is figure out how to repair that stucco that's in the window, around the window. What would be the best way to do it?
So, Tom, it sounds like you've gone through a ton of roofs. What's going on with these roofs? I think that's what we need to talk about first. 3 roofs?
Yeah, we've had a tropical storm, at least 5 hurricanes, 2 hailstorms. So we're on roof number 3. There's no issue.
You ever think about moving to New Jersey? I'd love that type of job security. I just put a roof on for Tom every 5 years.
Yeah.
I think Mark is better suited to answer this question. I'm just here to criticize.
Yeah. You know what I always think of and I always worry about is different materials touching different materials. So first question for me, Tom, would be, does the stucco go into the window as just stucco, or is there a break from the stucco to the window and the break would be, say, caulking?
I believe it looks like it's been caulked.
Okay.
With it's where the stucco is applied to the CBS block. That seems to be where the cracking is happening.
Okay. Any idea how thick the stucco is?
Somewhere around 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch.
Okay. Because at one point, the stucco does become a sponge. These cracks are usually non-existent if you do have a good caulk joint going up against a metal window, again, as opposed to that stucco. But there's really not a lot of beef there, Zach, if you're talking about 1/8 of an inch. Usually we're looking at 3/4 of an inch for that stucco. So there is a little bit of pliability with the stucco when it's that much thicker.
Is this stucco, is there a scratch coat on the block or is there some sort of interface between the two?
So I always, no matter where I am, I always love to use wire mesh up against the block. That's going to alleviate most possibilities of cracking. So that's why I always go with it. I know down in that area, people tend to go with a scratch coat right up against the block. It becomes problematic when you have other deficiencies around that stucco, and a window is a perfect example. You know what I hate, Tom, is I hate trying to repair cracks in stucco because you really, really need a talented hand to kind of blend that crack away. So how far away is the crack from the metal window?
It's about 1.5 inches or so, and the crack goes directly down. It doesn't break out. It doesn't, it doesn't go left or right. It goes straight down.
I'm almost leaning towards some sort of sanded acrylic caulk to repair it, and then he can put his money towards another roof next year.
Exactly. That might be it, Zach.
Like, not all repairs should be well executed. I'll probably get shot for saying that.
No. Uh-oh. We're moving to Florida.
Oh, boy.
Well, thank you very much for calling. Hopefully you don't hate us for the answer.
I really appreciate it. And the thought has crossed my mind about moving. So, but
hey, I have a room in Lexington, Mass. Very historical town.
I love it up there. I've gotten some pretty a direction in which to go. I appreciate your help today, and it's really great talking to you guys.
All right, right back at you.
Coming up, William H. Macy shows you his old house.
I found a tract of land in Woodbury, Vermont. It was 50 acres for $50,000. And that's what I had, 50 grand. So I bought 3 cabins. They were called Toy Town.
That's next on This Old House Radio Hour. It's This Old House Radio Hour. I'm Jen Largis. Coming up, Alton Brown shows us how to build the ultimate backyard grill station with tools from your local hardware store and a little creativity. But first, we go to Woodbury, Vermont. On screen, William H. Macy is known for playing characters who are messy, resilient, and relatable. Off screen, he works the same way, starting with what's rough and turning it into something authentic and full of heart.
Hi, this is William H. Macy, and this is my old house. After graduating from high school, where I was a terrible student, I played around at a couple of colleges and ultimately ended up in a hippie college called Goddard College in Plainfield, Vermont. And I fell in love with Vermont. And in the late 80s, I was still jonesing for Vermont. So I went up there and started looking for a place to buy. And I found a tract of land in Woodbury, Vermont, owned by a woman named Daphne Mackinson. It was 50 acres for $50,000. Much of it was field and the rest was forest. And that's what I had, 50 grand. So I bought Daphne's 3 cabins. They were called Toy Town. They were little motel cabins, cute as can be, and in very bad shape. After I bought the place, I got a film. And if memory serves, I made over $25,000 on that. I thought I was rich. So I immediately hired a guy named Bob Krutak, who lived up in Vermont, to fix up one of the cabins. He leveled it, he paneled it, he insulated it, he installed the wood stove more safely. I was working in Chicago at the time that this happened. I went with Felicity Huffman, who I was dating at the time. We went to Marshall Fields and bought sheets and big blankets and comforters and pillows. It was about that time that I got my final check from the film, and that's where I learned about taxes. That $25,000 payday had been beaten to death, and I had to borrow money from Felicity to pay for the work on the cabin. But there it was. Oh, it was cute. I mean, you had to step outside to change your mind. It was so small, but it was my cabin. And the first thing I did was build myself a bed in this brand new little cabin. I built a bed, and then I built a big fire in the wood stove, and I made myself a cup of tea, and then the flies came out. These cabins had been empty for many, many years, and these flies called cluster flies. And when I heated up the cabin, they all came out. First there were dozens and dozens. And then there were hundreds. And I found a can of flying insect spray, and I sprayed them all. I emptied the whole can in this tiny little cabin and ran outside until the air had cleared. And I went back in, and I had killed a fraction of the flies. But what was worse is that the rest of them were sick, and they would fly right into your face. It was awful. There were thousands of them. I thought, well, just go to bed and I'll deal with this tomorrow. But I got in bed, and the flies were still bouncing off my face. When I turned over, there's a pile of flies in the sheets. I thought, what in the heck am I going to do? And then I had the bright idea, well, if heat brought them out, that maybe cold will make them go away. So I got up, opened all the windows and the doors, and damped down the stove. And indeed, the temperature plummeted, and all the flies landed, and I was able to get a good night's sleep. The next day, I bought all the insect bombs that the hardware store had, and I got rid of them. As my career expanded, so did the cabins. And one of the things I learned was the nature of women. And it's funny that a cabin would teach you this, but I learned a great truth. You can't have a meaningful relationship with a woman without indoor plumbing. They can say everything they want about the outhouse, but they leave a lot earlier than they were planning to leave. So I put in a bathroom and a well. Well, I felt really down home at this point. Now the cabin was up to about 800 square feet. It had a bedroom, and it had a kitchen. I spent a lot of time up there. The next project I did was one that I'd wanted all my life. I wanted a standalone shop. I didn't know how to do it, so I bought a book, and if memory serves, the book was called How to Build a Building. And I worked on it all summer. I remember vividly being on the roof. It's a simple gabled roof, and it was insulated, put a wood stove in it, second-hand windows, double doors so I could get big stuff in and out. And I was on the roof tacking down the last of the shingles along the ridge. It was so dark, I had to do it by feel by the time I finished it. And then I had to get to bed. The next morning, I flew out of there to start work in New York. I loved that shop. When I'd get there in the wintertime, I'd have to start the fire and burn it for a day before it would warm the place up so that I could work in there. And I have such fond memories of my neighbors coming down. I put 4 chairs in front of the wood stove. They'd sit there gomping on their chairs, telling me what I was doing wrong. And I remember vividly they would complain about the Flatlanders coming up buying all the land. And I thought, I think I've really assimilated here, because I'm a Flatlander. I came up and bought all the land. I would daydream about my little place in Vermont when times were tough in New York. And as a beginning workaday actor, times were tough a lot. It was financially difficult. I heard the word no a lot. To keep the demons away, I would just sit there and fantasize about some project I wanted to do in my shop. It was better than Valium. I spent a lot of time in that shop. I bought really good tools, a table saw and a chop saw, and mostly I had learned how to turn bowls. At some point, I bought a monstrous lathe, a Powermatic lathe. You could turn a 12, 14-inch bowl on this thing. I gave them to friends, mostly. They're all food bowls, and I'd put a finish on them. One of the things I love the most is when I give someone a bowl, first thing they do is they rub it, they caress it, because the wood is so smooth and it's such an odd shape, and they were just a fabulous gift to give to people. So now I live in Woody Creek. It seems wood has to do with pretty much everything I do. The building we bought here was my wife's childhood home, which is an excellent husband move and one I would recommend to everyone. I still own the Vermont house, and it makes my heart swell. But my daughter, Georgia, who now lives in New York, loves my cabin, and she's been going up there. So there's a project going. This summer we're going to go up and do a much-needed remodel of the cabin and fix it up, rebuild some porches, and she's going to help me. And now she goes up to my little cabin in Vermont.
That was William H. Macy. You can see him in The Running Man, directed by Edgar Wright, in theaters now. Cold weather, football weekends, and family gatherings mean one thing. The grill is working overtime. Elton Brown is known for bridging science and food on his Peabody Award-winning TV series, Good Eats. Today, he'll show you how to turn simple tools and a little know-how into the ultimate backyard barbecue. So before backyard smokers were maybe in our neighbors' yards, you created one that was less than, am I reading this right, $50? How did you come up with that?
That was probably, you're making reference, I imagine, to my cardboard box smoker.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that I came up with a cardboard box smoker was when you're trying to teach people the rudiments of a process, it's really great sometimes to remove the device. Because it's so easy to fixate on, well, I need this smoker and I need this model of grill or I need whatever. And I'm like, no. Let's get rid of all of that. I got like a high grade moving box, and I put an electric hot plate in the bottom of it, and I cut a little doorway in the box for the cable, and I cut a couple of holes for some dowels to go across to hold an oven rack. And in the bottom on the electric hot plate, I just put a little cast iron skillet with some wood chunks in it, and turned the gosh darn thing on, and punched a thermometer into the top of the box. When I closed it, just kind of folded it with a brick on top, and it turned out to be a really, really good fish smoker. To this day, use the box smoker more than I use probably any other smoking device for a lot of things.
I do love the way you deconstruct this idea of cooking. I think so many people look at gadgets, whether it's in their workshop or in their kitchen, they assume that some magic is happening in there. And that's not always the case.
Well, not only is it not only the case, but it kind of removes part of your control of the equation. And that doesn't actually make you a better cook. It doesn't mean the food's bad, because some of these machines are quite good. But I rather have a little bit more control. When I first started hacking grills to change their airflow, I went to an auto parts store, I bought a piece of tailpipe, bent it and shaped a flange, put it up inside the bottom grates of a Weber kettle grill, and then used a pipe clamp to connect hair dryer because I knew what I needed to get done, right? I knew, I need to increase this airflow. I called it blowing the grill. I wanted to blow the grill. And nobody was making the tools for that at the time. Now, even though there are companies that are making kits for this now, I still use my piece of tailpipe and my hair dryer. And I put the hair dryer on like a wall dimmer so that I can control. Is this good? Is this safe? Is this UL listed? No, it is not. But I'm in control. But I'm in control of the process, and because I'm in control of the process, and because I kind of like invented the device, I have more ownership over the final result, I think.
And I love your openness with the things that you're trying, the things that clearly could end up having user error. Like, whether...
look, step one, get a fire extinguisher. I do nothing without a fire extinguisher because these are not necessarily safe, advisable things to do. So step one, where's your fire extinguisher is always, where's the electrical cutoff? Can I jerk the cable out of the wall, or can I turn off the gas? Workshops, kitchens, outdoor kitchens, all need to be operated under the heading of safety first. And only when you really understand safety rules can you selectively break them at your own peril. I'm always mindful of the rules that I'm breaking when I'm going to break them.
So what are some of the different ways that you cook outdoors?
I feel like I should have some legal notifications. So my wife and I have this thing that's this massive weed burner, and it's used to burn weeds around chain link fences and things like that. It's basically a low grade jet engine.
Okay.
And I will absolutely put a few sheet pan racks down on the ground and just throw out a bunch of shrimp and stuff, and just it's more like a flamethrower than a jet engine. That's not certified for that. That's not safe. I'm sure it's not safe. I do it all the time. So that's a piece of yard equipment that I use quite a bit. I still smoke a fair amount in terracotta pots. The thing about terracotta is you got to be really careful because the clay chemistry can be kind of dicey. I only smoke in terracotta pots that are Italian because they tend to be quite pure. And I've used those to make tandoor ovens, two really big terracotta pot, 2.5 feet wide at the top. And I took a masonry saw and I sawed off the bottom so that I could turn it upside down.
Yeah.
And I build charcoal fires down in that and then use it as a tandoor oven. Because the whole thing about a tandoor is you've got to have walls that like this. So either, you can put meat on swords or you can slap flatbreads up against the inside of it. And I do that. I do that a fair amount, which is nothing but charcoal and a terracotta pot.
As someone that doesn't know much about this cooking method, what's the function of the walls angling in and up as they go up?
Going back to ancient Syria and places like that, ovens were cylindrical. They were vertical. And the difference between having walls that are straight and angled in, it turns out to be a huge amount of two things. One, holding in heat and also allowing for lesser fuel use. And a lot of these types of ovens were used during warfare campaigns where they were being moved constantly. So just being able to go from straight sides to slightly inward sides. And of course, the top's open. So you get this huge amount of radiant energy that's building up against the walls, which is why those original flatbreads, you literally slipped it up against the inner wall. It would stick. And then right before it fell off, you would peel it off and it would be done. Or you would just put giant skewers of meat down into it. So they act as capacitors of heat. And the angle of the walls makes really all the difference in the world. To this day, tandoor ovens, whether they're gas-fired or otherwise, are always conical.
How interesting. So for our listeners who are looking for a grill, I know obviously there's so many things on the label that say so many bells and whistles. What do you think people should really look for?
the simplest, most well-constructed thing they can get. Learn on the basics, but buy decent stuff. So buy good tools that are basic. Very few bells and whistles. Do not trust bells and whistles because bells and whistles are keeping you separated. They're providing layers of insulation between you and the experience of learning, right? It's like, I know people that say they're experienced grillers or smokers, but the second that you take away their Traeger or whatever, they suddenly can't cook anymore. I want to be able to cook in a hole in the ground. And I can cook a hole in the ground because I understand what's going on with the heat. The other thing is learning your fuels. Cooking with hardwood is very different than cooking with charcoal. Using natural chunk charcoal as opposed to briquettes, huge difference. How you light that, how you control that is all about airflow. Because, the thing that a lot of folks don't realize is that the charcoal is not the fuel. The charcoal is a catalyst. Air is the fuel, right?
Yeah, you're right.
So how much air you feed that and how you're feeding that changes everything.
In my thinking, it all sort of stems back to getting to know the pieces of the puzzle that you're trying to assemble.
Yes. Your fuel, your heat, your air, and whatever it is you're cooking. And what that requires. Does this want to be cooked fast? Does this want to be cooked slow? And the reason that people still respond, by the way, to this emotionally is that controlling fire defines us. Controlling fire is the most important thing that human beings have ever done. By opening up the caloric and nutritional bounty that fire made available to us, allowed us to do everything else. So it's still a very primal thing to connect to.
Not only feel connected to it, but hone in on the things that we're using and their properties. It can be a woodworker's connection to the wood that they're choosing as they're walking through the yard and deciding which piece is right and why. In any craft that you're working on, you have to control or understand, I'll say better, your base materials and the things that you're trying to harness in order to create what you're hoping to create.
There's really so much similarity between choosing a slab of oak for a table and choosing a slab of ribs. I mean, you have to learn what you're looking at. You have to learn how to evaluate what you're looking at and what you're touching, and then make wise choices, which can only be done with knowledge and experience.
Well, beautiful perspective, and we really appreciate your time and expertise.
Thank you.
That was Alton Brown. You can get an autographed copy of his memoir, Food for Thought, at altonbrown.com. And now it's time for one last thing. My favorite tool.
Hey Jen, Lee Gilliam here. I'm one of the show's landscapers. One of my favorite tools is a edger. It's similar to like a shovel, and you just go up and down, but it's got like more of like a curved line to it, not so straight. But that's what we use for edging the beds. I have that pet peeve of like people coming over and they walk too close to the edge of the grass, looking maybe at some plants in the flower bed, and they always like put their foot down on the edge. So then I come back, the person who I am, and I want to put a nice tight edge on it. But the edger is one of my favorite tools.
We'll see you next week on This Old House Radio Hour. Our show is distributed by and co-produced by LAist Studios and APM, American Public Media. This Old House Radio Hour was created and produced by Ember 20. Listen to new episodes of the podcast every Tuesday on your app of choice. You can follow This Old House on all the socials at This Old House, all one word. We'll see you next week.